We spent the whole hour, Sean, destroying the Giants on how they played last night. And I thought in the first half they played very well, especially the defense.
Fun.
And all of a sudden, Aaron Rodgers just was Aaron Rodgers, and there was nothing the Giants defense could do about it except watch. At what point in the game did you notice the momentum shifting, and where do you think it went wrong for the Giants last night?
Well, you really hit on it right there with Aaron Rodgers, because I was taking notes throughout this game because we knew that once the Seahawks beat the Lions that our Cowboys were going to get the winner of this game. So I was taking notes on both teams, and then obviously I was going to not use the notes on the losing team, so my Giants notes got thrown out, and then all my Packers notes are going to be things I use throughout the week to write about this game and all that. And, you're exactly right. The first thing I wrote when it came to the Packers offense, and specifically the Packers offense starting to play better, was Aaron Rodgers playing a lot better, and like you said, Aaron Rodgers, becoming Aaron Rodgers, and it really came down to his wide receivers. I mean, this unit is, if you just look throughout the NFC playoffs, the Packers wide receivers really don't stack up with, let's say, the group that Dallas has or the group that Atlanta has because of Julio Jones, or even Detroit, who just got eliminated. They certainly had some playmakers there. This Green Bay receiving core really isn't at that level, if I do say so. And so, they struggled a bit at times, but the adjustment that they made, they were able to get. They were able to play better against the Giants' zone coverage. They were able to keep these defensive backs' hands off of them, which I thought was pretty important. The Giants like to be physical with you at the line, especially Denoris Jenkins kind of headlines that. And they did it without Jordy Nelson out there for most of the game, which was even more impressive. Of course, for the Giants side of things, you could talk about the fact that they lost, Rodgers Camardi in the secondary, and maybe that cancels out. But, Nelson's the Packers' best receiver. The rest of these guys just did a really good job. Not getting rerouted, being able to find spots in the zone. And when you can do that, when your quarterback is getting time, and when your quarterback is Aaron Rodgers, you're going to move the chains, and they put up points.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I thought the biggest shifting point wasn't Hale Rodgers, and it wasn't the first half. To me, the shifting point, the 4th and inches that Green Bay didn't convert on, the Giants drive down the field in 2 plays to score, and then Aaron Rodgers immediately shoves it back down their throat. That's when I knew the game was shifting the other way. Hale Rodgers was definitely a huge momentum change, but the Giants killed the momentum at the beginning of the second half. They had every advantage to stop Green Bay in at least the first 3 quarters. The fourth quarter was all Green Bay, but in quarters 1, 2, and 3, you can make a couple of cases where Green Bay should have been shut down.
Oh, absolutely. And, I think another thing I wrote was that I would have been really interested to see, and I'm sure you would agree with this, I wanted to see what this Giants defense could have done if the offense was, finishing off those drives that you just mentioned, if the Giants were scoring touchdowns,
right,
not settling for field goals, and building a bigger lead and putting even more pressure on this Green Bay offense, ended up having a huge day when it was all said and done. Like you said, the big fourth quarter. I wanted to see, this Giants defense play with that big of a lead and, back off even more in their zone coverage, and maybe even, well, not even maybe, with Steve Spagnuolo, you're going to get some exotic blitzes in there at some point too. So that could have definitely changed the game, but with the way the score was, this defense just cracked at a certain point.
I immediately started noticing signs that it wasn't going the Giants' way in the very beginning. OBJ, Sterling Shepard dropping passes in the end zone. I mean, are you kidding me? Those are passes you guys got to catch. And the big thing this week, Sean, was the whole Miami story. Now, did I like it? No. Did I think it should have been publicized? No. Did it look bad? Yes. Can I think of 100 other reasons why Green Bay won the game last night? Absolutely. No question in my mind. That thing had nothing to do with that. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, this is a young Giants team. This is a team that certainly should have their fans pretty happy about, what they can do moving forward. Ben McAdoo is a first-year head coach and, got them into this playoff game at 11-5 with this offense that he ran before becoming a head coach. And, we expect the offense to make even more improvements coming in the next season. The defense, is what the defense is. You put a lot of money into it and got a lot out, and now you can kind of add some pieces in the draft, or, we'll see what they do there to round out this team. But, the Miami story, it is what it is at this point. It's over. Certainly wasn't a good look. We certainly had a lot of fun with it, on Twitter and other places throughout the week if you weren't a Giants fan, or even if you were able to laugh at your team a little bit. So, it wasn't the best look being there on Monday, and then 6 days later you're in the freezing cold, and then you're warming up without a shirt on, and you better be able to back that up, I suppose, with a really big game. Even if you don't win, go out there and put up a big game and lose to Aaron Rodgers with your head held high. But I don't think Odell Beckham can certainly say that about his performance. He punched a hole in the wall after the game. He dropped a touchdown. Shepard looked like a rookie. And, a thing that we said about him in the draft was that he did look like such a veteran receiver at Oklahoma. It didn't really translate in this game. So that was the biggest issue for the Giants offense. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
The big thing I noticed, too, with OBJ was, and it goes back to maybe Wednesday when Eli Manning made those comments about the trip, how he's saying, they weren't prepared. They didn't bring shorts. They didn't bring flip-flops or whatever. That's what a team leader does. He takes the attention off what happened. That's exactly what he did, and now they're on to Green Bay. OBJ and Sterling Shepard are the type of guys to bring the attention right back. To do what they did yesterday, to warm up in shorts and no shirts on in 5-degree weather, it's like, what do you expect on a Monday morning in New York City after a loss like that? That's obviously a big story. Eli Manning takes the attention, throws it out the window, and OBJ brings it right back.
Yeah, on Eli's comments, basically what he was saying is, I trust that these guys are going to go make plays for me on Sunday. And, for the most part, they made some, but like I said, not nearly enough.
Not enough.
And, basically, yeah, you're right. Being a leader, being a guy that can just say, we need to go focus on this game. Those guys are still going to be really good players for us. And, I'm the quarterback that's going to hopefully benefit from it. I've been here before. It's I've won Super Bowls before, but none of that matters right now because we know the Giants aren't going to be in the Super Bowl once again, despite what their fans were saying about going to Green Bay, going to Dallas. They were bringing up 2007, 2011.
I'm glad that's
those
over.
Past teams, now it's a first round exit for a team that won 11-5. It's a good season, but you could have gotten more out of it. And in the NFL, you never know how teams are going to respond. So all the criticism that the Giants are getting today is for all those different reasons. And, most importantly, the offseason is such a long haul. It just started here today. So, it's going to be a long time until we see Beckham back on the field.
Yeah, we're talking with Sean Martin, WMSC Web Director. He's the host of Upon Further Review, starting in the spring once again, Fridays 1 to 4, right here on 90.3 WMSC-FM. And, of course, he writes for InsideTheStar.com, a Dallas Cowboys blog website. And I want to keep you on the line because I want to get into Dallas-Green Bay with you while you're on the line. I said the winner of this game is going to Houston. What's your take on that?
Well, I think that's certainly fair to say. I would agree with that, Sean. These are two really good teams. You have to start with, I guess, the rest of the field in the NFC. Falcons, Seahawks. Falcons, playing at home seems to be a good bet against a Seahawks team that hasn't played well on the road, and against the Seahawks team that we've talked about this off the air a lot, just isn't the same Seattle team.
Yeah.
So I think people are realizing that. I don't think that there's many people out there that are really saying, yeah, this is the same Seattle team. So now they have to go into Atlanta and deal with that, and then the Falcons. We haven't seen them really advance through the playoffs in these past couple of seasons, that they've had opportunities to do so. I will say that, why Seattle may not be the same Seahawks team, I don't think this is the same Falcons team as far as they are a dangerous team. They could come into Dallas and win an NFC Championship game situation, or
right.
They could win against Green Bay, but that's a tall task for them either way, and Cowboys-Packers seems like a good bet to get to Houston.
I said this was without a doubt the game of the year. I think this is going to be hard-hitting. I think it's going to be competitive. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to play very well. I think Dak Prescott is going to play very well. I think you're going to have a tough time because we all know the Green Bay defense is weak. I think they're going to have a tough time getting through that O-line. But you don't mess with success. Aaron Rodgers in his last 7 games is 19-0 in touchdown-interception ratio. He's thrown over 2,000 yards. He has been the definition of elite. Sean, if you are the Dallas Cowboys, how do you stop Aaron Rodgers?
Well, I hate to be so cliche to start this, but, players like Aaron Rodgers are the reason we have this term in the first place. You can't stop him. You just hope to contain him. And
right.
that actually fits well for Dallas, maybe more so than some other defenses that are currently in this playoffs, whether it's in the NFC or even if you want to go look at in the AFC, and there's good defense to talk about there. Kansas City comes to mind. But this Dallas defense, a guy who's really respected in Cowboys Nation and, a guy that's worked in the league before and just watches all these games and breaks them down. Brian Broaddus, a guy I know you're familiar with.
Right.
He calls what this Cowboys defense has done under Rod Marinelli, the scheme is basically clog and cover. And what that means is, you're not going to get a ton of pressure on the quarterback. You don't have a dominant pass rusher that's going to, scare Aaron Rodgers, but you're going to clog things up on the defensive line, make it tough to run the ball. The Packers are relying on a wide receiver to hand the ball to anyway. So, I'm not too worried about their running game, or at least you shouldn't be if you're a Cowboys fan. And then covering in the secondary, that's something that Giants, we talked about, they did for some time yesterday until the wheels kind of fell off. The Cowboys secondary can do much of the same. They're hopefully going to have Morris Claiborne back. So, how do you stop Aaron Rodgers? You just hope to not give up the big plays, and you hope to maybe get some pressure on him in some key spots, and I think the Cowboys can do that. They rotate the defensive line. That's, something that Rod Marinelli is, known for, and they don't give up a lot of big plays. They play, bend, don't break type of style. So I think the matchup is pretty preferable for the Cowboys defense against Aaron Rodgers, not because Rodgers isn't going to make plays or can't make plays, but just because you trust the Cowboys offense to score points and this defense to limit the Packers, and then hopefully the Cowboys come out on top.
I want to go on the other side of this, too, because you write for the Cowboys on InsideTheStar.com, so you obviously know both aspects of the teams. I want to reverse the question a little bit here. You have the best O-line in the NFL. You have one of the best running backs in the NFL. You have a solid quarterback. You have a defense that has played better in the last couple of weeks. And if Aaron Rodgers can't find weapons down the field, it's going to be tough. If you're the Green Bay Packers, how do you stop Dallas?
Yeah, it's going to be really hard for them just because they haven't been able to do it in the one meeting, and that was without Des Bryant. These teams met back in Week 6 at Lambeau Field, and that was a big measuring stick game at the time for Dak Prescott. We had no idea that he was going to, rattle off 13 wins in 16 games, but at the time he was starting to play better, but could he go into Green Bay and win? Well, it wasn't going to be easy, and he did it, and the Cowboys offense made it look easy in that game. It was really more so, Ezekiel Elliott, he had one of his best games of the season against this Green Bay defense. I don't even know where to start, to be honest, when it comes to adjustments for this Green Bay defense, just based on the notes that I had coming out of their Giants game. I mean, I thought that their linebackers, they're starting some young players there. They also have some injuries there, so there's some inexperience. I thought their linebackers early in the game really struggled in run defense, and we know this Dallas offensive line. The problem there is these linebackers aren't even going to be in a position to make plays because these guys are so good at getting to the second level, getting their hands on you, and once you're at that point, it's pretty much all over. With Ezekiel Elliott running the football, you can't let Zach Martin get to you. You can't let Ron Leary get to you at either guard spot, or you're just not going to be able to make a play. And even if they don't, I don't know how much I trust these guys to make a play. Up front, they do have some tough players, though. Mike Daniels, maybe they kick him outside a little bit to rush against Doug Free. Maybe we even see the Cowboys counter that with a guy like Lyle Collins. If he's healthy and ready to go, maybe he plays a little bit of kind of a pseudo tight end position to make Daniels rush wide, and then we can get a running lane that way on that side. But, I don't think this Green Bay front as a whole is that intimidating. I already talked about the linebackers, and that really leaves, the secondary to match up with the same receivers they got beat by in Week 6, and Des Bryant, and, a motivated Des Bryant, of course, because we all know what happened 2 years ago. And, they didn't look spectacular against the Giants. They blew some coverages, and there were some big plays to be had for Eli Manning.
You look at Green Bay here, and let's not pretend they don't have flaws on defense. They've got injuries. You've got a weak secondary. Quentin Rollins didn't play yesterday. He may not play in Dallas. Demarius Randall didn't play at 100%. Jordy Nelson, who knows if he's going to play. Cowboys have some advantages here, and of course you've got a Cowboys team that had a week off and is going to be healthy. How do you think the week off is going to favor Dallas?
Well, I think just getting healthy is something that you need this time of the year. It's so hard to win any playoff game. Just ask any of the teams that lost this weekend in blowout fashion for the most part, too. You just need to get healthy. And so they have some guys that are going to hopefully be coming back into the lineup. And on the reverse side of that, they have some guys that, even with the week off, might not be at full strength. But, at least we're going to see as close to the, what this Cowboys team has been throughout the better parts of the season on the field against Green Bay. Like I mentioned, you're hopefully going to get Morris Claiborne back. You cannot understate, what he's going to do, hopefully, especially if Jordy Nelson is out. Claiborne was going to draw that matchup anyway. Now, when we have an easier matchup to kind of work his way back, he hasn't played in a while, so that would be preferable. For him there at the corner position for Dallas, you're going to have potentially DeMarcus Lawrence coming back, but that's one that I'm a little bit more concerned about. Back injuries can linger, and that's one that ever since even training camp, we've always thought that it could be an issue throughout the season. So I don't know how much Cowboys fans should be counting on DeMarcus Lawrence to do a lot this postseason. And of course, they lost Randy Gregory now too, but you got Benson Mayowa, a guy that's been rested now and getting more practice reps, I would imagine, this past week off as opposed to having to play in a wild card game. Tyron Smith then needed to get healthy. That was probably the number one thing coming into this postseason, and they did that. This team, I hate to understate that a 13-3 team can't win a Super Bowl because of one player, but
right.
If Tyron Smith wasn't going to start this game on Sunday, then it would really hurt the Cowboys' chances. But they're going to have him back at left tackle. Ron Leary will get back on next to him at left guard, and things are going to look like they did during that 11-game winning streak that the Cowboys once had. And again, one of those wins against this Packers team.
Absolutely. Sean, it was a pleasure having you on. We hope to talk to you again real soon. Enjoy the game Sunday. Of course, I'll see you next week. Hopefully, we'll both be happy when we see each other next week, and we hope to talk to you again on SMC Sports real soon.